What's up, guys? Brandon Johnson here again, and thanks for joining me. Today we're taking a look at 8 More Miles to Louisville. This is a great tune. It's one of my all-time favorite songs. And every time I hear this song, I always just think about coming back home from a long tour. And that last few miles before you get home, they always seem like the longest. And in this particular lesson, we're going to be taking a look primarily at the cross-picking part for this song, which you can use as a solo. And this tune has been kind of made famous over the years by a lot of legendary pickers who've really made it their own. And one of my favorite versions of the song is the Sam Bush version. This is a good song to know, it's a classic, and we're playing it out of capo 4 in the C position, so that's going to put us in the key of E. So I hope you enjoy this one. Let's check it out. Okay, so let's take a look at measure number 1 now of 8 More Miles to Louisville. And when we look at this measure, we're going to include the pickup right before it. So in case you don't know, a pickup measure is kind of a series of notes that lead into what you could consider to be the downbeat of the first measure. So in this case, the downbeat of the first measure is going to be on your 3rd fret A string, which is the root note that we're playing out of. And of course, we're playing capo 4 here. So that means we're playing out of the C position in the key of E. Now before we get into measure number 1, let's take a look at this pickup measure here. So we're going to start on an upstroke on that open A. Alright, so we're going to hit that open A, and then kind of like we're playing a G chord, we're just going to hit that 3rd fret low E with our ring finger. Or you can play it like I have it, which is actually 3 downstrokes in a row. And then we're going to land on a downstroke on the 3rd fret A. And that's going to be the beginning of measure number 1. Okay, so right there at the beginning of measure number 1, we're actually cross-picking over a C major chord shape. So that C major chord shape, of course, if you don't already know, is going to be 3rd fret A, 2nd fret D, open G, and then 1st fret B. So you can really just hold this chord shape here. And what we're going to focus on is we're going to focus on the cross-picking with our right hand. Now when we're cross-picking like this, we're going to be playing all alternating picking. So that means we're going to be playing down, up, down, up. So you can kind of see why that's called alternating picking, because you're alternating between your downstrokes and your upstrokes. And then right after that C chord, we're just going to take our middle finger and our index finger and we're going to lift it off. And we're going to do that same cross-picking pattern, but this time we're going to start on the D string. So those are 3 open strings in a row. And you'll notice after that open B right there, there's a slight pause, so that means that open B is going to be on an 8th note. Okay, and then you'll see what we did right there is we went from that 8th note on that open B to an open D to 2nd fret D. So we're going to start with that C major cross-picking pattern. We're going to lift off our middle finger and our index finger. And then on a downstroke, we're going to play open D to 2nd fret D, and then 1st fret B to open G. Now, it might look like there's a lot of jumping around going on there, but if you think about this in terms of the chords, you won't have to worry so much about the individual notes. But we're actually just going to be playing the end of this measure over that F major open chord shape. Okay, and that's going to lead us into measure number 2. Okay, so measure number 2 here actually has kind of a G turnaround feel to it. We're sort of implying the G chord, but it's just played for one quarter note, and then it goes right back to that C. So let's take a look at this. We're starting on an open G, and again, you can kind of revert back to your C major chord shape here again. We're going to start on that open G. So it's kind of a similar type of a pattern that we already learned. But what I like to do for this one is I like to hold that C chord, and then here just take my middle finger and move it up to the 2nd fret A, and play that same cross-picking pattern, but this time start it on the open D string. So at the beginning here, we're starting down the open G. We're going to move our finger to the A string, and then we're going to play that same pattern, except starting on the open D. Okay, and then right after that open G, you're going to see a 3rd fret A, and we're going to be seeing that 3rd fret A quite a lot because that's the root note. But you can hear there when you let that ring out and you don't immediately put your middle finger down, you get that cool kind of sustained sound. And then right after that 3rd fret A, we're going to see kind of what is just another pickup. Even though it's in measure number 2, it's kind of a pickup going into measure number 3. So open A to 2nd fret A. All right, let's take a look at measures 1 and 2 now, all the way through to the metronome. And remember, we're going to play this pickup at the beginning, and that pickup is going to start on the 3 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3. Okay, and that's going to lead us into measure number 3. Okay, so measure number 3 now, you'll notice that measure number 3 is identical to measure number 1, and it even has the same pickup, that open A to 2nd fret A, that we had at the beginning of the song in measure number 1. So we won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but we'll just review it one last time. Again, we're going to be playing that C major chord shape here, and we're just going to be cross-picking it out, and basically working with our index finger and our middle finger here for the first half of this measure. Back to that F chord shape again. So it's the exact same syncopation, and you'll see, alternating picking kind of going on all the way through. So let's take a look at measure number 4 now. All right, so let's look at measure number 4 now. It's somewhat similar to measure number 2. We're going to start on that open G on a downstroke, and then we're going to go to the 2nd fret D. Except instead of going to the open G now, like we did in measure number 2, we're going to roll off our middle finger here, and we're going to hit that 2nd fret G. Then you're actually going to see a hammer on there. attention to the timing here, and that open D is going to be actually over the G chord here, or the G chord shape. It's actually going to be a B chord since we're capo 4. Right, and that second fret D right there is going to lead into an F chord shape, which is going to happen at the beginning of measure number 5. All right, let's look at measures 3 and 4 now, all the way through to the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's look at the first half of this song, so measures 1 through 4, all the way through. And remember, we're going to come in on the 3 count here at the beginning of measure number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3. Okay, and that leads us into measure number 5.